Last of Us talk. So we're gonna, so we only covered what episodes 1 and 2. So the last time we were on. So now we have to talk about episodes. Has everyone seen 3 and 4, or are we behind?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, take it away.
I
What
don't.
did you guys think of episode? We'll start
I'm
with
not
the very
talking about
beginning of
3.
3. Not
I-
well. I think someone said they want to hear what I have to say about. Did someone say that or
No one wants to hear what you
about
have to
3?
no,
say.
I do.
No.
I want to hear what you say about 3 because I'm not going to talk about 3.
I really enjoyed 3. I think it was a really well done piece of television. I thought the acting was really good. I thought it wasn't perfect. I've seen some people, again, when it comes to the internet and stuff, you're going to see people saying, "Oh, it's the greatest episode of television." And it's like there's other people that are like, "It is the worst piece of crap I've ever seen." And it's like
Well, you're
I
bringing in
enjoyed
agendas and preferences and politics into
Yeah.
it. Like it's a episode that is treading a lot of different waters. So people are gonna have very strong opinions one way or the other.
Honestly,
thought-
why I
Yeah.
can't talk about it because I'll get too political or whatever. So
Ugh.
I'm going to ignore it.
when I think when you look at acting and pure acting, I think it was incredible in terms of the acting.
I'll give
Nick
you. Yeah,
Offerman,
I'll
the
agree.
acting
The
was great.
Quality was excellent. I mean,
Yes.
Nick Offerman was great. There was nothing
Guy that
wrong about the
plays-
production of the
everyone
show.
was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I'll
would
give you
say
that. The acting was very well done.
I would say it wasn't perfect. I mean, there were a couple things that I thought in there that were kind of dumb about exactly how they survived so long by themselves. But it's like, I can if the quality of something is good enough, I am willing to an extent, what's the term? I'm willing to believability. I'm willing to push a little bit off if the quality of something is great.
Well, they kind of they led into made necessary for the episode 4 to happen.
Well, they
I
could have
think-
done that differently. Like,
They definitely could have done it differently. That's what my issue was.
here's
I think
my. I'm sorry. I'll let you go, Chaz. I'll come after
No,
you.
I was just gonna say when it comes to the agenda aspect, I think my big problem is people that are attacking it from the direction of like clearly have no idea about the game series and clearly have no idea what's contained and what aspects of certain characters are. And
Yeah.
I even told my relatives, like my brother and stuff, about the show. I'm like, listen, if this aspect of this episode bothers you, you're not gonna want to, stay away from the rest of the show because, you know what I mean. Not that any of my family's bothered by it, but I just meant like in general. I'm like, for people that are bothered by it, it's like, dude, that's like the whole show. Yeah, it's a zombie show or whatever, but it's more about the characters. It's more about
And it's not like
their
they-
problems.
It's not like they made this episode like
No.
fundamentally different than the game. Like that was a relationship in the game. So I mean, it's not they're
No,
trying to.
they definitely delve way deeper than I
Yeah.
think the game did, but.
But
It's
they've been
TV.
doing that for
It's
everything.
television.
Every episode has
Yeah.
tried to elaborate on the characters and give it backstory, which I have liked for the most part. Like characters
Right.
that either didn't exist or didn't have any kind of story. Like even Tess, they added a lot more to her, which I liked. My issue with this episode is just how different it was from the game. Like it's really completely opposite with the direction. Like this one was
Again,
very happy.
everything from
love-
episode 2 on or after 2 is like this is where I don't know what happens within the game.
So the show went very happy ending for the most part for Bill and Frank. The game is not happy ending
No.
for them.
For them.
In case you're not, well, I guess if you're not familiar with the game, you wouldn't know. Right before Joel and Ellie get to Bill's place, Bill's alive when they get there. Frank, like they had been in a relationship for so long, but Bill never fully like reciprocated. They had a hard relationship, and Frank shot himself with a shotgun because Bill wouldn't love him. Okay, or at least not the way he wanted to be loved. So it was a very rocky, rough relationship, is how it was demonstrated in the game. So when Joel gets to Bill, Bill's just like broken. And then Bill, of course, they have to earn his trust, and he opens up to him and then lets them get the truck and drive off. So it ends the exact same way. And then you never hear from Bill again in the rest of the game that I know of. I liked that better. Maybe it's just because the game, or not the game, but the whole premise of the show is this bleak kind of atmosphere. That storyline fit better to me. How it was so tragic. The whole game is just tragic. And I get maybe they didn't want to have it be a complete downer the entire show, so they wanted to have this kind of one hopeful moment where Bill and Frank, it worked out for them, and then it goes back to tragedy. But one thing about The Last of Us, whether you play one game or both games, it is relentlessly, dauntingly tragic. Like it never feels good. The couple of moments you get to have hope, it's pulled out for me. Like that's like a underpinning of the game for me. So this game, I mean, this episode still
The
ends
episode
sad,
definitely
but
is it ends sad, but like
not
you were
really.
saying,
It is a hopeful moment. It's a successful relationship ending for all intents and purposes, and I
and
would have liked the
again,
tragic ending better. That's me.
and there is an aspect of the story that with the episode that it at least builds upon a different character. It eventually helps build upon Joel because
Mhm.
again, the whole aspect of Bill being so narcissistic, not really liking people, keeping himself away, not caring about the world coming to an end, and like his whole thing about grasping onto something and finding a reason to keep going on and find the good in things. That, and at least when the story it converts over to Joel, and him and or Tess and the Bill and Frank story kind of help him, you know, again grasp onto something, find something
It
good about
does.
something
I
to keep
think
going.
the game direction actually sold that better because
Really.
when they get to Bill, you see how terribly broken Bill is. It is such a testament that you need to open up. Other words, you're going to destroy the other people in your life, and it's going to ruin your relationships. Like that's the picture that Bill represents in the game, and that's like the big red flag with Joel being like, well, I should probably open up with Ellie a little more, be a little more trusting. Like that's what stems it. I'm not saying you don't get that same feeling with the way they ended the show, but I don't know if it hits quite as hard. Granted, that letter they have where he references Tess, that I think does punch it home a little more, but I don't know. I still lean that the tragedy was a better direction to also get Joel kind of kicked off in the direction he needs to go as a character, but no.
That's what I was just saying.
Oh,
Or good.
I was gonna say, what do you think, Metal, about episode 3?
Since I haven't played the game, that's why it's kind of nice to
That's
hear
why I
everyone's
wanted.
opinion.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I knew about the whole tragedy of Bill from the game because one of my friends, he told me about it before I saw it. So I was already aware of it. I personally thought it was an interesting backseat on a slice of life during a lack of a better word, hopeless situation. You think about it as like, oh, this guy is like, obviously to himself, he doesn't care about anybody else. He pretty just wants to just survive, and he finds this guy and he'd rather kill him, but then he doesn't. And then all of a sudden it just ends up becoming the way it does. I wasn't neither against it, and whether it was better, I think a tragedy would have been better. I think from what you guys are saying, the game version it tells it better, and I think
Well, it leaves a lot more to the
them
imagination too. Like the whole thing with Frank, like Bill in the game doesn't even really tell you about it at first. Like it kind of just gets slowly opened up as Joel kind of probes him. And then
That's what I
games are
liked
better
about the
about
game version.
environmental storytelling. Like
right,
you find a letter, you find a thing, and like that kind of builds on it. So honestly, you could have gone through
right,
that section and had almost no understanding of Bill and Frank's relationship,
right.
or you
Like you
spend more
didn't.
time and you get the details.
Yeah,
Well,
it
there was
sounds like it wouldn't even matter either way. This was just a kind of like
Filler episode.
a filler episode. It's a
Mhm.
filler, yeah. It's a filler episode, and I can see why they did that, and it does lead into the next thing, which is perfectly fine because they needed all that crap anyway. Because they needed the vehicle, they needed the weaponry, whatever, what have you. I guess Joel goes there and they expect him to be alive when they're not. In the
real
game he is.
See,
real
I would
quick.
have liked.
Oh,
Oh,
good.
I
No, I was
was.
just
I
gonna
would have liked.
say,
Oh,
Finno, finish your thought. Good.
I was just saying. I would have liked a little bit more, like how 2 leads into 3. I would have liked more of that, and they kind of just skipped to this guy's property, and been like, oh, you know,
Kind of, yeah. I could see where you
kind of
go
like
from
how
it because they
like
didn't
the
say
game did
anything in the
it.
second one at all, at all. And I mean, the people with the controversy, they're complaining about freaking the girl kissing her and doing whatever.
You cut out for
You
a minute.
know,
I didn't hear what you said.
oh, I said, if it, you know, people are complaining about the whole you know, girl clicker coming over, kissing Tess in the
Oh,
mouth,
that's right.
and then
It wasn't a
this
girl.
comes
It was a
about.
guy clicker.
Was it a
With the
guy
was the-
clicker?
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
It was
male
just the
click.
whole quote unquote sexualization of that act. People had an issue
Whatever.
with.
Either way, it's so dumb. Like a lot
Real,
of it just ends up. It's like everyone has their own agenda to push across.
yeah, real
Yeah,
quick
it's true.
in chat, I just wanted to recognize Nox Arden. They just said, "Ugh, I was expecting zombies and action for episode 3, and I ended up crying. I really like the changes from the game. I really appreciated seeing the life of a survivalist that ended up being right." They also said, "Plus, in any pandemic, there's people outside the government that are still privileged, so it was interesting to see Frank and Bill are living the married life while everyone else is fighting." So thank you so much, Nox Arden. We appreciate your input there.
That is very true because, like, again, you take a back seat and you kind of see what's going on and during this whole entire thing. While everyone else is freaking getting infected and or killing themselves or freaking blowing up or trying to escape from one of those QZ zones, like, and
And
those guys, all they needed to do was just sit there and just protect their town,
They're trapped
pretty
up
much.
and watch people get heads
Yeah,
off.
and just watch everyone get destroyed and burned. Like that I thought was pretty neat.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because and then Joel comes in and he goes, "I can help you out with that. That's I give only that thing that
and
I
if
should
I
hire you
can-
as Joel Metal. Oh, that was good.
if I-
like
if I-
it's
if I can't just mention about, like, for me, like, the aspect of Bill and Frank, the aspect of two males, coming together in the episode. I think where it's trying to think of how to word this. where I can kind of understand how it fits in the plot is just saying that, like, when you're in a post-apocalyptic world, when everything is gone, where you don't come across people that often, it's understandable how, like, you're just grasping for a relationship with somebody. You're just looking for someone, to love, because it's a loveless world, basically. So the fact of them two coming together, I feel like, for me, it's whatever is what I'm saying. It's just like, you're in such a terrible world. It's like you're reaching for camaraderie. You're reaching for, especially, I don't know, for someone like him, who it seems like his whole life has already been kind of sheltered or kept himself away from people. I don't know. It at least, again, for me, it at least, like, told a story of, like, somebody who, is
Opened
going
up.
through changes,
Yeah.
opened up to things, and
survived, had a full life fully, like
Mhm.
with no. I mean, obviously there were hiccups, but and
I-
cabin fever, obviously a lot.
I think when it
Fever.
comes to that aspect, that's the one aspect of the episode that, like, if I were to drop down a point or two, if I was grading it, that I would be like, it's the believability aspect of them being able to stay alive for as long as they did in that fashion, because it's like,
I'm surprised they
again,
didn't get raided long before then.
I'm
Like, I can
surprised
understand
they
how
didn't.
they would have been protected from the clickers long term,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
people long term, especially how
It's like-
long they were there. Like, that didn't
Well,
seem super realistic
it's
to me.
like-
Especially how, like, Joel and them found them and everything. How did nobody else find them?
And there's
Well-
so many other, like, when we get to episode 4, there are clearly large groups of people going out raiding and trying to take
Yeah.
over areas. Like, that's what you would be doing in this
like
type
militias.
of.
It's like
yeah.
full militia, like armies, and like
Yeah.
And the fact they only had, like, what, 4 random dudes show up at their fence to get lit on fire, like, that should have been like 100 people
That
to, like, try
should've.
to knock
I
it
agree.
down.
Well, no. That's understandable to me. But what's not understandable is if they were intelligent raiders with any sense of intelligence, what they would have done is, when they realized, hey, this is a problem, we can't get past this, what would have happened is, once 1 or 2 people of their people died, they would have retreated, gone back to
Regrouped
their
and come
base, and
back.
been like, we need to bring more people,
back
and we
with
need to
tanks,
That's
bring
what I'm
man.
saying. They would have
Bring a
come back
truck.
with
We'll
hundreds
bring
of
a truck
people,
and we'll
however
just
much.
drive
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Agreed.
that's the part that for me is like, you wouldn't just keep. What's the lemmings? They wouldn't have just lemming themselves.
And I think that's
as
why
they
I
were
don't
doing.
like this happy ending so much, partially because it doesn't feel right for this world. Like, this world is so brutal and people are so malicious, and that's the kind of thing that should have happened in this. They would have got raided or something terrible would have happened. Like,
Once
I know
one person died, they would have been like, "Oh, we need to prepare. Bring a truck. Just drive a semi through the
Yeah.
gate or something."
And that was my biggest complaint about the episode. Like exactly what you're saying, Chad. It was too happy for me. It was like it was too. for the world that they're in, like you're
Mhm.
saying, it definitely needed to be. I was used to the dark ending from the game, and that's kind of what I was expecting.
And I could be wrong. It's been so long since I played that a part of the game, but like when you got to that town in the game, it wasn't this picturesque little slice of, suburban America. It was
Right.
this rundown little village that most people would probably just pass over and not want anything to do with, which made a lot more sense because then if there were raiders, they would probably pass right by it. There'd be nothing of interest besides just some random scavenging. But in the show, they represent this as this pristine, like valuable piece of commodity, right? So raiders would want to take this little town for their own. So I think making it more enticing and then making the raiders more dumb, like that didn't mesh well for me. I know what they were trying to do from a storytelling standpoint, and kudos for them. It was a well written story. It was well produced, but something about that just didn't fit well to me. Maybe it's just because I had the tragic ending in my mind the whole time. It just didn't fit.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I still feel like I'm nitpicking. Like ultimately, for me, the acting and the story for the episode was, for me, it was enough for me to be like willing to throw my, logic senses out because I enjoyed it so much. But I agree. To me, that didn't make sense. And also, like, Bill is supposed to be a badass who like is super smart at shooting guns, and like he's getting attacked by multiple raiders and is
He's out in the
standing out
middle of the road.
Oak in the middle
Why
of
is
the
he
road.
not up on the second floor of his house shooting out of a window? Like,
Yeah,
that was
there's a
weird.
couple points that are like, I get it. You got to have him
you
getting
want a
shot.
moment, yeah.
He could have gotten shot in the house. Like what?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
Real
then
quick.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying. Knox Harden in chat says, I liked Joel's and Bill's relationship in the show and how it explained how they got to know each other because in the game
Yeah.
it was just like Bill owes Joel a favor and that's it.
Yeah.
They also say
Yeah.
it's comical how much luck Frank and Bill had. Bill laid out a trap and ended up with a husband, and they got raided like once in 16 years. I like the
funny.
happiness, but I see why others didn't.
What's
Yeah.
interesting about that is that like I think the relationship was that he kept sending him meds as well. Like the that was the whole thing, right? Like he helped him out, and then call Joel. It's like calling him to get medicals to help him out. At least that's what the only reason why they even stayed alive for as long as they did,
Yeah.
from what it seems like. So
And I'm-
I mean, I don't think there was any payback because the payback was already there. Like
And
Joel
also,
helped him out, and then they just were able to. His payback was, here's all my stuff.
Yeah, well, it was him kind of
I
like
never
paying
liked-
it forward so that Joel could protect his own because Bill had
Yeah.
learned the importance of protecting the people you care about. So it
Right.
wasn't a I owe you thing. It was
Yeah.
Joel, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to be a better person, kind of thing.
just
Pretty much.
one other illogical thing it's something that I keep saying in every episode, but like this whole weird illogical Joel, how weird he is when it comes to guns. It's like they go into the basement and there's an entire wall filled with guns, and Ellie's like, we should take
Yeah.
one, or let me have one, or we should take all these, and Joel's like, no.
You would trust a 10-year-old with a firearm?
No, I'm saying
I mean,
his like,
And that
his-
leads us to
no,
episode 4.
No, I'm saying how like nonchalant he is about guns. It's like, dude, take those guns, put them in your trunk.
How's he gonna
look-
store
look
all
at it from
those
his
guns?
perspective. But look
Well,
at
he had a bunch of guns in the.
He did
in the-
grab
in-
guns.
He
but
put them
in-
in the thing, and in episode 4 they said, and this freaking truck is loaded.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
Oh,
not like he
did they?
didn't.
Oh, okay.
And it could have been
Yeah.
other
Oh,
yeah,
supplies too. Like
and-
he doesn't need to take 100 guns. If he takes even 10 guns, that's a lot of guns for 2 people.
But in the post-apocalypse, coming across a stash like that is probably like hitting the lottery.
but
Like
Oh,
that's
yeah,
like,
What's your
from
goal
Joel's-
though? Like,
But Joel's perspective from giving a kid a gun, you got to remember what the crap that Joel has seen, and the things that he's done. He doesn't want this kid to experience what he's already experienced.
he already
And-
said that. He goes, you shouldn't have seen this kind of stuff, and then she even mentions it.
Yeah, she
Early
does. in the
on, she
fourth-
goes-
well, she mentioned in the 4th episode, but
Mhm.
back in the 3rd episode when they see where they see everything.
yeah, no, I think his, reaction is understandable. Whether you're thinking about it from not wanting to get Ellie involved, and we didn't see exactly how many guns he took, but they acted like he was well supplied. I mean, there's various reasons you wouldn't want to run around with 100 guns.
forgive me,
okay,
I didn't
totally.
hear anybody say the truck was loaded. I assumed he left all of the guns, and I was
Yeah,
like,
it was one of the raiders or whatever.
It was the
when they
raider.
Kathleen or whatever. They said, yeah, we found a truck fully loaded.
Now, when they
or
said
whatever.
loaded, that doesn't necessarily mean it was loaded with guns. It was loaded with
Right.
supplies. So that could
Yeah.
have been food. That could have been resources, for like
And
camping.
then also
whatever.
there was the part where I also it further put me on that point because there's a part where in the second episode or fourth episode where he's aiming the gun at the guy on the ground and he pulls his gun away and pulls his knife out and I'm like, again, you have all those guns. I don't know. Again, that just
Saving
what I
bullets,
was
man.
Yeah,
thinking.
well, it means a resource commodity. Because remember, at that point too, he didn't have access to his truck the same way. They were going to have to leave that. They weren't going to haul all that ammo with them. So now they were on. I need to reserve or preserve as much ammo as possible. They may not have given off their location by firing another, gun off in the middle of a building. So
Okay, on that
And he
point, let's
probably
go
also
ahead
didn't
and
want. Oh yes, go ahead.
I was gonna say let's just move on to episode
no,
4.
no, I want to berate your point as long as I possibly can.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
How dare you
Well,
disagree with me on something?
That's what I was gonna say. Episode 4. I think the other reason why he chose the knife was because he didn't want Elle to hear the gunshot.
Yeah.
That to me, that's what I would think. Because she already shot the guy, and he doesn't know that she's never. That he at this point he doesn't know she's. He thinks that's the first time she's ever saw somebody. So he's probably like, well, if I shoot this guy or whatever, she's gonna hear it and think of the worst versus let her. Maybe he let him live, maybe he didn't.
I don't know if there was any illusion that he let him live. Because because you clearly heard him go.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's true.
But I mean, I don't disagree with that. There's, I think, various reasons why he wouldn't have shot the guy to finish him off at the end, and you can kind of take your, opinion on which route it was. But no,
I think Joel just enjoyed it. He did it for fun.
I'm sure that's
Well,
it.
whatever it was, it gave off their location too, because that you were right about that. Like
Brian,
she
they
shot.
found Brian.
Yeah, they found Brian, and that was
If
it
I
done.
If I can throw this in, I know I just came off talking all positive about 3. I actually felt like 4 was a bit of was nowhere near as good as the first 3.
Are you
I
kidding?
feel like
That was my
4
favorite episode.
Actually, 4 was really damn good. As a
I
matter
thought-
of fact, I thought it was too short. I thought it was gonna be
Yeah.
like I saw
agree.
them get freaking gunpoint, and all of a sudden it's like end. It's
I
like
know.
No, I agree 4 was too short. I'm just saying I still think in terms
think
of
it was-
what happened, I feel like it was probably my least favorite episode of the 4.
Really,
I think
that was
it's
my-
the
I thought
most
my-
I thought it was pretty good.
I think it's the most disposable episode so far.
Disposable?
Whoa.
What's disposable?
dark,
To me,
yo.
to
That's
me, it,
Dude.
to me, it,
that's
to
a
me,
word
it
to
felt,
choose.
to me, it felt like the most television-y oriented episode so far. And I think why I got that feeling is because I didn't necessarily like the Kathleen and Pierce, or not Pierce, but the whole Kathleen aspect. Like, I actually feel like, I don't know if the game does this, but for something like the situation that group and military is in, I feel like it would be more entertaining to not know who the leader was. And I don't necessarily, I didn't feel drawn to Kathleen or their plight or blight or plight. Is that a different blight and plight? Are those
Plight is
different
what you want
words?
to say.
Oh yeah.
So the game, there's no like singular entity of bad guys. Like they crashed their truck. There's those raiders there trying to take them down,
It was
and that's
supposed to be
pretty much
Raiders,
it.
right?
Yeah.
I
aren't.
felt like
I felt that too when I saw it. I was like, "Those gotta be Raiders," but
Well, here's
they
in the
weren't.
game, they are just kind of nondescript bad
Right.
people.
That
and
makes
I like
sense.
that.
This
I like
game
that.
is, well, not game.
Yeah.
The show is trying to spin it where they were these rebels that took down that Fedra
a military compound.
yeah.
Yeah.
QZ zone.
and I
took
think
them
what they're
down.
trying to do. And do you guys ever watch the little extended sections at the end of the episode where they talk
No,
about?
I never.
Why they
Oh.
chose to go that route?
Yeah, and they kind of explain that they're trying to show that, a lot of times, even though the righteous rebels try to take over, or take down these military establishments with good cause, a lot of times they end up being just as bad or worse. I think that's what
Yeah.
they're trying to do is show how the good has turned bad in this situation. Even though they were just survivors trying to rebel against a authoritative whatever, they're now the ones that are killing innocent people that just crash their truck into a wall, stuff like that. So.
And you notice their vehicles said like freedom. I forgot what it said. That their trucks was like freedom of other people or something.
Oh, I didn't see that.
It was one of the first things I noticed that was spray painted on the side, and I was all
Yeah.
like, "That's interesting." And you're over here shooting people that come in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't
it
really
feels a little.
like the Kathleen.
Oh, go ahead. I'm
Feels
sorry.
what?
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your sentence because I wanted to talk about Kathleen really quick.
I was just gonna say I'm having a hard time connecting with this group with this extra elaboration. Like in the game, I kind of appreciated they were just nondescript raiders. That made sense. The fact that they were acting like, oh no, these people, random people, have killed one of our own. Like they're these innocent, righteous
Just
group
assumed it was this
who
group.
started the whole incident by trying to trick Joel and Ellie to pull over so they could attack him. Like that's not meshing well for me.
Well,
And
that's what I meant by this episode feeling more like regular television, feeling more Walking Dead-y, is because I felt like the building upon of that military base of the people, trying to humanize them. I didn't feel I feel like they're humanizing and trying to build characterization just to build up some other side plot or some, when it's like, no, I care about Joel and Ellie. And there were a lot of times when it would cut from them and it would go to her threatening the poor old doctor guy and the
Honestly,
thing, and I'm like,
they're making it
there
hard
are
to
moments-
sympathize with her.
Well, honestly, if they
Yeah.
hadn't did the ambush, like the way with the guy running out asking for help, and then the way it was so obvious that was an ambush,
Oh yeah, totally.
and then they just started shooting at him, it would have been a lot more believable. I feel like they should have left the guy out, and then them driving through, and then them they start taking shots.
Yeah.
That would have made
Yeah.
sense because then they would have been like, "Oh, that's a threat," you know.
Yeah.
I didn't like I like the fact that there are raiders. I'm just saying I think it's more entertaining if you just don't know. If you just focus in on Joel and Ellie and like you still see the raiders, but I don't need all the backstory. Like it's a post-apocalyptic world. Like there are people that are just trying to get goods, or they're being bad. Like I don't.
I'm not opposed to them giving the backstory because thus far, that's actually been one of the best things about the show is they have taken the time to give it backstory. So I still want to give them the benefit of the doubt on this. I don't inherently agree, or I mean, disagree that the new characters they're presenting here are all that appealing or sympathetic just yet. I'm not sure if that's even what they're trying to do. I want to give them one more episode though before I make that kind of call.
That's what I was going to say. I think they kind of needed a protagonist because right now they don't have a protagonist. Yes, you got the infected, but there's no actual
Antagonist.
Yes, antagonist. I'm sorry. Yeah,
I was going to say they definitely have protagonists here.
yeah, that's what I meant.
think
They didn't there's no designated antagonist right now, and I felt like they probably needed that, and so this is what they threw at us.
Yeah, I think they're gonna fight a hard battle here, though, because like if you watch those little ending segments, Neil Druckmann is like, "I love when I can try to humanize villains." So he's clearly looking at this group as the villains, trying to make them more sympathetic. But here's the thing: it's already been a bad start with the way that they got ambushed. And two, I don't know how much you guys know about the game, but the characters at the end that hold the gun on Joel and Ellie, Henry and his little brother, those are incredible, good characters. Like they're not villainous at all. So anything that's going to be, you know, on the opposite side of that conflict is always going to be viewed in a bad light. So this group, I think it's going to be really hard to redeem because Henry and his brother, man, you're rooting for them, at least in the game. Okay. And then I don't want to go deep down that just yet.
Not to repeat a point, but I felt like they were introducing like television oriented villains where it's like, I didn't need it, you know. That's all I was saying. It just felt like they were Saturday morning villain.
Yeah.
That's fair. And here's the thing too: these are not. I can't imagine going to be long-term villains. Like they'll be around for one more episode. But the whole the game, the whole point is that it just keeps on moving. You meet somebody and then you leave them behind. Very rarely, there are some exceptions, does an old character pop back up. So these guys I don't think are going to hang around.
Yeah.
I did see someone on a podcast say they should have named her Karen, not Kathleen.
What's
She was
funny?
giving off Karen vibes.
I do agree with the fact that like the whole thing felt like that whole ambush felt like a raider ambush. Like no matter how you slice it, that was a raider ambush, and the way they just kind of laid it out was kind of like weird. But then they switch over to that scene with her with the doctor, and it's just like, what are you doing?
Yes.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, like it's like, oh, don't make me. Oh, don't make. Are you getting this like nice looking person to do something so mean? First off,
she's all teary-eyed too.
She's not even like really good at it. Like it sucks.
Well,
I think to make that work, you've got to know more about that backstory. Like, why are they worried about Henry escaping? Why is it so crucial that she has to kill this old dude to get that information? Like, they didn't give any of that in this episode, which makes it really hard, I think, to get on their side.
Okay, so that's why That's why. Okay, that makes a little sense. So the
This
person at the
episode
end is
should've-
Henry. Is that so? What is that
The older guy's Henry.
So
Oh, the
they're
name of the
searching.
younger brother's slipped my
So they're
mind.
searching. They're searching for those
I have
two.
it in the notes. It's
That
Henry
okay?
and
That makes sense to me now because I didn't even know who the hell
it's Sam. Sam and
Sam.
Henry.
Sam.
comes
That's
up.
right. This could have been an episode they really probably should have made longer. Like they made the Bill and Frank episode like what was it, like an hour and 30 minutes or something.
15.
It was
what-
long. They should have
Yeah.
extended this one because I think if they could have meshed it all together into one kind of cohesive whole before moving on, I think I probably
agree.
could have understood Kathleen and their stuff a little more, maybe had some sympathy. But because they're
Yeah.
separating it and I see the characters and kind of the sides they're taking with Henry and Sam, I'm going to have a hard time. Even if they give me the backstory next time, I've already made up my mind at this point. So I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Real quick, Knox Arden also in chat said, I didn't like the Kathleen aspect. I only liked episode 4 because of the Joel and Ellie moments and their bond growing stronger. Oh, I totally
yes.
forgot to mention the bonding.
Yes.
I was about to
Ignored
say,
everything else.
Bonding was
They said they ignored
fantastic.
said that
everything else.
in the game, the joke with the
The diarrhea.
The joke book in the game.
Diarrhea.
The
Yeah.
diarrhea. I laughed in the
Yeah,
game.
You actually get to see Joel smile for freaking once throughout the entire thing up to this point. It's like, hey, you smiled. You actually laughed. Like you actually are a person. You're just not like dead from the neck up.
You
Like
gotta remember, the guy lost his daughter. He lost his
I
brother.
know. He well, we don't know if he lost his brother.
And
yet.
also, another thing I just thought
Well,
about is,
yeah.
I totally forgot I had notes this whole time. Another thing I totally forgot about is this is the first time where they actually say Joel's age. He says he's 56, and I didn't realize. I'm like, wow, that's pretty old. I can see why he's like so tired, and I don't know.
Yeah, he only made it 34 flights of stairs. Wimp.
Man, the elevator's out at work, and I'm having to go like 3 flights of stairs, and I'm dying. So,
You always skip leg day. Come on.
man.
Oh,
yeah.
also we have one more chat. Let me go back. I just
I
looked
completely
away.
forgot about those moments.
Knox Arden also in chat says, I wish I saw the whole Raider storyline from Henry and Sam's point of view rather than Kathleen and Pierce.
And see, that's what's going to happen. Is next episode, we're going to get Henry's take, and we're all
Yeah.
going to immediately jump on board with that. I can guarantee, unless they really chain Henry and Sam as a character, we're going to jump on their side, and then it's going to be real hard for the other side to be redeemed after that.
It definitely sounds like this should not have been a separate two-parter. This should have been
Give it
should
an
have
extra
been one.
30 minutes. I think they could have
Yeah.
probably added enough into it. And they've already extended all the other episodes, so why
because
not?
what happens in the next episode, I guarantee, is going to be a lot of stuff you're expecting.
We're gonna
So
get
I
a
don't
lot
see
of-
why.
I think we're
This
getting a lot of
area is treading
information.
more towards the game, so I have a feeling they're going to follow a lot of those kind of plot points pretty closely. But
Well, what they even say it towards the end, like, they're specifically picking points to deviate from. So then they can deviate from it, do whatever, and then come right back. That's all they're doing.
I'll be very
what's
sad
his-
if they change the way the Henry and Sam stuff turns out. Like if
I
they,
doubt they will. I really don't think.
I think
they're
that's
What's
gonna
his
too
name?
pivotal of a moment. So
What's
It
the
really
writer?
is.
I
Is
forgot
it?
the writer's name. What's his
the
his name?
Chernobyl
The main
guy,
guy. Main guy. What's his
Druckmann.
Yeah, Neil Druckmann. I forgot he did specify as to like he said something to the veil of like, for the most part he's going to follow the game's plot lines and story, but he said something like,
Unless they can think of something
don't-
better.
unless they can think of something that's either as good or better.
Mhm.
That's the only time they will drift. Now again,
That's subjective,
if-
though. I mean,
that's
Yeah.
subjective though.
Yeah.
If he thinks everything he thinks of is better or more entertaining, then he could change a heck of a whole lot. So.
and you gotta think this is a
So
creator
far,
thing too.
I
You
haven't
go
really
back.
been disappointed from the games. Like,
It hasn't been
the-
bad, no, but
No.
that train of thought can be a little tricky. Not that you shouldn't have creative liberty here, but creators do this all the time when they go back and look at their old works with a fresh mind. They are in a completely different mindset sometimes and think very differently. Like, look at George Lucas Special Edition Star Wars. Like, I don't want to see
At,
that.
I'm the blinking.
Look at what was it? Was it E.T. with the walkie-talkies rather than the guns?
Yeah, so just because he thinks it's better now doesn't mean it's really better. But so far, the show has been really solid. Even the changes they made have been either understandable or I can see where they're going with it. So they have not gone the Halo route just yet. So I'm very, very proud of them.
We're not seeing
boy.
butt cheeks, and military mistakes being made. So
All right, any other comments?
All right. So yeah, once again, thank you so much, Knox Arden, for adding to our conversation there.
Yeah, we had someone
Definitely added
talk to us.
some
I'm
new
so
points.
happy.
Yeah. That's
See
Come
what
on,
happens.
just more.
See,
What
having a
happens when
live
I'm-
show can be good. So
When I'm in
Yeah.
charge, see what happens.
I'm looking forward to the next episode though.
Yeah.
So
No,
Yeah,
I am.
and
I
it
think
airs
it's
Friday. It's not airing Sunday. Because
Yeah,
of the Super
'cause of
Bowl,
the
they're
Super
airing it
Bowl.
early.
Yeah.
yeah, Super Bowl.
Do you think the next episode's going to be short as well, just to
I
kind of
hope-
wrap up this little
hope
plot
not.
line?
I don't
another
think it
50
will be
minute?
because there's with Henry. If they're going by off the game, I think there's a lot of information that we're gonna learn. I don't want to spoil it if
Yeah.
they go based off the game. So
I feel like because there's still a lot to do in the game. Like the show's taking its time, which is good. I still don't know. Has anybody found any information how long, how many episodes this is going to be?
I thought it was 7 or 8.
It was gonna be
I
like
think,
9 or something like that.
7 or 8 is
7 or
not
8.
enough to get through the game. So I
No.
mean, unless maybe they're thinking they're going
I
to
could be
end.
wrong. I don't remember.
I think that's where I'm starting to get kind of curious. Is the point
Are
of
they
this
gonna do a
first
part two?
season to? Well, they already said they're going to do a season 2. I
Okay.
thought initially season 1 would be the first game, season 2 could be the second game. But if they're really padding it out, that means they're probably going to find a breaking point in the first game, and then season 2 is going to have to finish it. And I don't know how I feel about that. But point being, if they have any shot of keeping up with the pace of the first game, they've got to wrap up all the Henry and Sam stuff in the next episode, which means it needs to be a fairly long episode, I
The
think.
season's going to end with like Abby showing up or something.
I don't think
weird.
it can.
I'm joking.
No, it can't. I can only think of maybe one place in the game that it could like kind of have like a cut and then there's a season 2. But really, the game doesn't have a good ending until the ending, if that makes sense. So I don't know. I'm gonna be kind of disappointed. I think one way or the other, if this first season does not encapsulate the whole first game, but we'll see.
Knox Arden in chat says, "Laughy face. I can't wait for the next episode. I hope not." I think they're responding to me saying 50 minutes. So I hope not. I can't wait to see the show, see how the show deals with Henry and Sam. They said 9 episodes is what.
9, and
They-
this was
that's what I
episode
was looking
4. I'm trying to do a mental kind of block out of what's left in the game because like the next episode's got to do the Henry and Sam stuff. They've got the travel to his brother, and there's stuff that happens after that. Ooh, they might be able to do the whole game in 9 episodes. That
they're
seems
doing
tight.
hour episodes. If they're doing hour, 15.
They'll have to have
minute
some long
episodes,
ones.
Yeah.
Like I
They
bet
can't
this,
have
the
a 45
finale will
minute
be the finale will probably be close to 2 hours. I imagine it's got to be.
Yeah.
They
They gotta have it. They can't be pulling that 45-minute crap and leaving people with cliffhangers. That was not cool.
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
We'll see. I'm less
Sucked.
confident now. They're going to finish the whole game in one season. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Of course, why would they want to? To be honest, they probably want this to go fairly long. That's probably more
long as
profitable for
possible.
them, right?
Well, this is
So
a
if they can,
moneymaker. You
if they
kidding
can
me?
stretch the first game into 1 and 2 seasons, and then have the second game to be a couple of seasons, that's 4 seasons, baby, of extra money coming in. So
They got a lot riding on this. Like really, like a game adaptation for a TV show, like that. A lot of that stuff normally doesn't fly. This time, it's actually decent. Like it's actually good.
yeah,
So they have a lot riding on. If they start pulling weird stuff, and they're gonna lose people quick.
Guess we'll
Actually,
see.
I don't comment much on Twitter stuff, but I saw some. I had to. There was one guy talking about how bad the show was, and was like, "This is garbage tier television." And I was like, I just commented under. I
Can't
was
please
like,
anybody.
if you think this is butt level television, you should go. You should go watch the Rings of Power and the Halo show. And that it's like
That person
That-
probably loves those shows. Like they're
Or
probably
Game
like,
of
"Oh my
Thrones.
gosh, amazing!"
Game of
He's
Thrones last
he's
season.
just
or something.
trolling.
Yeah, he
Mhm.
probably
Dude,
was
there's-
trolling.
There is worse television. I'm sorry. Like the internet is so weird. Like,
Like
you have
Breaking
such
Bad,
highs-
that was probably the worst. I'm just kidding.
Don't make me jump through this.
Oh
stream.
boy.
Dude, there's worse television out there. Believe me. Go watch Gotham. I don't know. There's worse. There's
Oh,
worse.
come on. I love Gotham.
All right, we're wrapping up.
Yeah, we can. So that's our conversation. We'll come back in 2 weeks, and we'll talk episodes 5 and 6. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Thank you, Noxard, once again. You really contributed to our conversation here.
Yeah.